Welcome folks, welcome to another video. Now this one is an interesting video. As many of you know a while ago, I did top 10 in lists a while ago. And considering Blood Bowl 3 is coming up and I've played in the Blood Bowl tabletop as of late, I've decided that I would make a kind of a tier list of different leagues with these teams to see how they would fare in different league settings. Now, this is pretty much my opinion on this, so if you disagree, you're more than welcome to and ask in the comments what you think. But I will be covering several leagues. Now, this will be a multi-part video because depending on how long it takes, because we do have 27 freaking teams to get through, and I might have to change the lists often. So, what are the leagues, you may ask? Quickfire, YouTuber League with playoffs, Monster Season with playoffs, and continuous season with playoffs, but also with the draft, which will be in a 5-season draft rule, which I'll explain that a little bit later. But first off, guys, before we get any further, actually almost forgot, what are the tiers and what do they represent? S means pretty much supreme. They are the cream of the crop. They will fit in that league like a glove and dominate it. They'll be hard to beat. A is pretty much, they are good. They're still very good teams, but they might have a hard job with the S team, but they are still a worthy team and they can still win leagues. B is average. Basically, they're neither good nor bad, but they will have some issues they're going to have to figure out. C is basically, well, I would say crap, but that's not the worst of it. They're pretty much below average. They're not going to do well. They could do it, but they'll struggle. And D stands for dog shite. Basically, they're not good. They will not survive in an environment like that. So first up, folks, we're going to do a Quickfire League tier list. So basically, this is Quickfire. So what is Quickfire League? Quickfire League is basically 6 matches, no playoffs, done. Done and done. Oh yeah, I'll do a tournament one as well. I forgot about that. I'll do a tournament one, but that could be a little bit later on. But in anyhow, let's start with the Quickfire League, and let's start off with the obvious team that's going to be top of the heap, the Dwarfs. Come on, guys, you know this was going to happen. Dwarves are good little tanks. They are decent, and to be honest, you don't need to skill them up much. Really, you don't. And they're hard to shift. I mean, yes, they're slow, but let's be honest. When you are like miniature tanks and you cannot be bulldozed or moved that easy, and keep in mind this is 6 matches flat and done, this team is just going to absolutely dominate. They're going to dominate pretty hard. But I don't think they will be the ultimate team. No, this is the team that's ultimately going to do well in that format, and that is, where are these guys? Here we are, the Chaos Dwarfs. Yet again, similar to the Dwarfs, they are like hard tanks to move. They have the option of mutation, which could benefit them like later on in the league and all that. So that could be a bit of a, you know, a hard task to deal with. So if you've like Chaos Dwarf v Dwarves and they know they're gonna get Dwarves eventually, they go, might get a couple of claws. Yes, I know claws has been nerfed, but it's options. So these are going to be the 2 hardest ones to deal with. Plus as well, the Bull Centaurs. As soon as they get the ball, good luck trying to take the ball off them because they're fast, maneuverable, and they're going to get a lot of points quickly. So come on, guys. We all know this was going to happen with these 2. They're going to be the top 2 teams. So let's start off with a regular team, the Amazons. Right, they can dodge. Their blitzers are ludicrously cheap for what they could do. They don't revolve around passing much. They do have a proper passer, so they're okay on that front. The dodge is going to give them a lot of benefits, but they do have armor issues. Are they S rank? No. Because of the dwarves, they kind of going to get crunched. And let's be honest, every Quickfire League, there is going to be a dwarf team. There will always be a dwarf team lurking about. And plus that the weak armor is an issue, because if they get hit pretty good, you're going to see a lot of stuns and KOs and all that. So I'm going to put them in A rank. They're a good team in a quickfire league. They're pretty set. They're hard to deal with. They will be hard to deal with. So yeah, A rank. Blackhawks, the new kids on the block. After playing the Blackhawks myself and seeing them on the tabletop, I've seen some glaring weaknesses. Weakness one: the Blackhawks rely heavily on the Goblins. Yes, the Goblins are a little bit sturdier because they can have fixed goals so they can avoid knockouts, but you're still relying on Gobbles not to get murdered and mutilated in the process. But also the fact as well, I mean, the brawl skill is brilliant. It does give them a way out against certain scenarios, and their strength 4, and you can have 6 of them. So that makes them a very strong lineup, but the ball handling skills could be an issue. Now, they suffer no animosity. Skill-wise, you're going to see the Gobbles get not much skill up anyway, because by the time they even get close to skilling up, there's nothing they could want. They've already got what they need. I mean, you also got the Troll as well who could hold them if need be. So they have options, but in a short term, these guys need a little bit longer, a longer term to actually be worthy. So, in my honest opinion, guys, I'm going to go with B for these guys. They're neither good nor bad, but they do need a lot of bit of work. So next up, Chaos Renegades. Ooh, Chaos Renegades. This is an odd bunch because, one, you do have a lot of options to play with, but animosity is going to play a big part. However, 9/10, you're going to take the Dark Elf as your main ball carrier. That is pretty much guaranteed. You're going to take the Dark Elf as your main ball carrier and runner. He's going to do the most of that work. The fact that you've got multiple choices of a big guy does help. Means you could choose how you want it. Do you want the raw, animalistic brute force of the Minotaur? Or do you want the stoic but reliable Ogre? Or the resilient Troll? Or the temperamental Rat Ogre? So you have options, and you've also got different players as well, so you can mix and match your team. But there's where the problem lies, the mix and matching. You're going to have to build your team very carefully towards what it's going to do. You're going to need a strong line out, but also a strong ball carrier, because as many of you know, ball carrying is now more essential in this game, in this edition now. So yeah, overall they do have a good chance, but animosity will play a massive factor. So basically, if you're thinking of trying to play passive with the Dark Elf, don't bother, because the Dark Elf will need a 4+ to pass. You'll need a Human Thrower, which is, to be honest, he's bad. You might as well just stick with the Dark Elf and just run him down the field and let him just run riot. But as for the rest, hard to say. Are they below average? Maybe. Are they average? Yes. Are they good they can win leagues? Possible, but no. Are they S? Absolutely not. So I would say they are B. They are good, but they do have some weaknesses. So basically they're a bit hit and miss. Next up, Chaos. Yeah. I'm sorry, Chaos fans, but they are going in C. And here's why. The length of time it takes for them to even get a decent set of skills. 2, they have no defensive skills or offensive skills. I mean, don't get me wrong, 4 Chaos Warriors will do some business. I mean, like I said with the Chaos Renegades, you have the options of the Minotaur, the Troll, or the Ogre. But 9/10, you're never going to get them in the Quickfire League. No. Unless you're willing to go with 2 Chaos Men and a big guy. But I don't recommend it. I recommend just the 4 Chaos Dudes and the rest Beastmen, and just hopefully you can get a good couple of games to get one. But by that point, you know, you're halfway through the season, and a big guy coming in may tip a little scales, but not much. So unfortunately, because of the time constraint, like I said, it's only 6 games and done. I would say Chaos goes down to C tier. They are not good. They're not good in this league format. They, like I said, they've got benefits, but with the others above them, like the Amazons and the Dwarfs, Black Orcs, and Renegades, who could do more, yeah, I'm afraid that's not good for Chaos, I'm afraid. Dark Elves. Right. This is where it gets a bit hard. Dark Elves are good. Don't get me wrong, they're good. They're good at running the ball, and they're good at dodging, and they're good at tricks. However, with them, I think they only have the runner as the main passing. So means you've got to bring a runner, and with Assassins not being that good now, I would say the Dark Elves are still a good elf team, but they are not what I would call S rank. They are going to be A rank. Because, like I said, the agility 4 is a lot. They can get out of situations, they can run away, they can play, like position striking. But when it comes to actual like sheer power and all that, we all know when a Dark Elf or any elf team gets injured, that is pretty much a catastrophic problem. And also, remember, they cost more, and if any of them die or get seriously injured and miss a game, that could wreck the team greatly. And that's pretty much it for them. Goblins. Right. This is the interesting about goblins. They're not dog crap. No, they are decent because they do have ways and rounds of problems. Now, if you're clever about making this team and have, like, say, the Pogua, I would recommend the Pogua for this league, guys, because Leap can get him out of jams quickly, and if he gets like mugged, he could get out quickly. Also, the Hooligan can be a bit of a funny character to use. The Bombardier, obviously a good character because he's got pass and he can throw a good bomb or two to blow people up. I remember the new bomb rule states that if a bomb, even if they catch the bomb on the floor, it goes bang. So basically, there's a chance you could throw it like, say you threw it in the middle of a cage area, and the guy who in the middle of it, someone else catches the ball and it goes bang. It's gonna hurt them as well. So, and also they got the hurling, but 3 problems arise. Problem 1, weak armor. We can't get away from that, guys. They've got weak armor. 2, when the weapons are gone, that's it. They're in trouble, so they've got to make the most of them. 3, they rely heavily on inducements, and in the first match, you're going to get inducements, but after that, the second match, depending on how things have played, that could be issuing. Because remember, if you've got any of these teams above you in the league, they're going to crunch you. And having a troll and a couple of trolls does help, but yet again, you're in the same problem. You rely on the troll not to go like brain dead. The goblins have a lot of upsides, but they also have a bit of downsides. So they are C rank. They're below average. They can still do the work, but they're below average, and they rely on hopefully of not getting absolutely mutilated very early. Halflings. Now this is interesting with the Halflings on many accounts. One, they have a legit passer now who can rival elves, which is insane, but it's true because I did check out they can pass on the free plus, so they can rival most elves. However, also the treatment of them, 2 powerful beasts who can literally dominate the front line on their own. But the problem is, like the Gobbles, they do suffer from the armor issue, and unlike the Gobbles who don't suffer from weapon problems, however, it's their armor, and a smart halfling player, a very clever halfling player, will have to make them work. They have to really think hard how to use them properly. However, they do have the advantage of stunty. I forgot about the Goblins, they have stunty, and they can get away with a lot of situations. But they do rely on what they face. If they face something like the Amazons, they can get away with. Black Orcs, 50-50. Chaos Renegades, 50-50. Dark Elves, as long as it's not the Blitzers, they're fine. But if you face the Dwarf teams, you're crunched. And let's be honest, we can all agree anyone who faces the Dwarves is going to have a nightmare of a time. But against them, with Halflings, that's a bit of an issue. So are they dog crap? No. Are they below average? Yes. Like I said, in this type of league, they're better because it's like I said, by the time the 6th game ends, no one's had any increases. And if they have, they've focused on that player, so that's what they got to look at. High Elves. Like the Dark Elves, they have a lot of tricks. and skills. However, their passing ability is top of the class. They've got Cloudburst and Pass, which means they can do a lot of good passing, and they've got ways of dodging out, and they've got ways of, precision striking. However, several problems arise for the High Elves. One, they can't pass willy-nilly anymore. That's a big nerf for them. So in other words, even if they hurl the ball to a lineman and the lineman tries to hurl to another player to try and increase it, it's not going to happen. They'll need a 4+. And from what I can tell, the pass skill thing, you cannot improve that. That stays locked, from what I can gather. So basically, that's where the problem lies for the Elves. However, because like I said, they've got a lot of speed, a lot of maneuverability, and their passing is top notch, they could be a devastating passing force. However, they do suffer from what I like to call the crippling syndrome. Whereas if they lose a couple of players early, it will cripple the team. Now, as far as lineman goes, you couldn't care less. But if you lose a blitzer, a thrower, or a catcher, oh boy, that's a problem. And also the cost as well, it's very high. So, yeah. The High Elves are going to be, I hate to say this, guys, but they're going to be in the B category. Yes, they're still good. They can still win the league. But like I said, they've only got a select number of players. And any smart coach will look at that and think, right, those blitzers, if I pin them down and pin down his thrower, he's not going to be doing much for a while unless he's going to, and I could take him out. So High Elves are not good this kind of league, unfortunately. But they're better than others, to keep that in mind. Humans. Humans. The proverbial jack of all trades player. Now, they do have one of the best passers as well. They've got multiple ways of dealing with it. But here's the problem. The jack of all trades problem. If they face a team that is very specialized in one field, let's say bashing, they're going to lose out eventually in a bash fight. If they face against a tricky team who's good at passing, they're going to lose out in that eventually. But they do have means and ways around it. And also, with this team, you've got to pick what you're going to do with them. Are you going to be a running kind of team? Are you going to be a passing type of team? Are you going to be a bashy team? That does give them a lot of options. And in this sort of league, it gives them a lot of options. So they got a lot of options and tricks, but they do have to be very cautious. And also, by the time they get to the first skill, which as many of you may not know, I forgot to mention this, you don't roll for the skills anymore. You have to buy them from your XP. So if you get 6 XP, you can pick any skill from your primary. And imagine if you're getting a catcher, you're going to give a block right off and make it blodge very quickly. So humans, in my view, are going to be in the A category because they are good. They have means and tricks. And let's be honest, you don't care if a lineman gets killed because as long as your thrower, blitzers, and catcher is fine, the lineman lets them do their job. Now another new kid on the block, Nobility. Right. Nobility's an interesting team. They've got good passes. They've got many tricks. They've got people with fend that could stop players from moving forward. So say if you're throwing the ball and you've got a fend guy in the way, they can't move, they got to stay still unless they're willing to waste a blitz on one of those players, which, let's be honest, I don't think they would. They've got wrestle so they can have a get out of jail free card against blocking. They are really good to really annoy dwarfs. However, there are several problems with this team. Problem 1. Some of the players are a bit weak armored. So that's a problem. 2. The fence skill is good and all, but against certain teams who don't want to move forward that often, like the dwarves again, because they don't like to, they want to stay in a cohesive line, that might go against them. The wrestle as well is a good what I like to call anti-ball sniping, but you got to make sure he doesn't get caught doing it. Also, you got the blocker, you got the the blitzer, like the passes and catches from the blitzers, which is an odd skill, I'll admit, but it can be handy. So where does the Imperial Nobility stand in this? Whoops, didn't mean to do, oh, good Lord, sorry about that. They're not D, not by a long shot. B, are they average? Yes, but no, because yes, they're average humans, but they've got a lot of skills, and that's where they go up to the A category. Because of all those skills, they're going to give certain teams a royal headache to deal with. So they are A tier. I don't know what happened there, guys, so my bad. Khemri. Khemri. One of the few teams you cannot deviate with. You need a blitz, you need a throw war, you need Blitzross to break up, and you need the Tomb Guardians. Unfortunately, their passing as well is horrendously bad. In their agility is horrendously bad. You're relying heavily on the throw raw and the Tomb Guardians to start spreading teams out. Sad to say, unfortunately for the Khemri, they don't fit well in that league because, yes, the Tomb Guardians are freaking phenomenal, but the problem is you're relying heavily on them to do stuff. And if any smart coach sees this, they'll just break away and just go right screen. Yeah, you're not punching, and if you get closer and if I force you to break a little bit, I will get one of your Tomb Guardians out of the way quickly and deal with it. So unfortunately for Khemri, they are not that. They're that. They need time to develop properly, and in a 6 games format, nah, they're going to get more losses than wins. They could probably get a few draws if they get lucky, but no, they won't fit well in that league. They are a good team, yes. In later editions, later leagues, they're good. Not in this one. Lizardmen. Lizardmen. Right. Let's get things right at the bat. Everybody calls Lizardmen the weak version of the Blackhawks, and I would agree. Because they don't have any skills, that's a problem. But having 6 strengthful Sorai, along with 4 skinks and maybe a chameleon skink. Now the chameleon skink is an interesting addition because he can pass, and remember, stunting does not no longer affects passing. So there is options for the Lizardmen. So they have more options to play with. But unfortunately, they're relying on the skinks not getting absolutely murdered by everyone and their grandma. But the Lizardmen Sorai are powerful. You got a Croxcore, he's a reliable big piece. You got a Chameleon Skink who can pass, so basically you can have the forward Lizardmen just going darting off, causing mischief, while the Sorai are just actually brain people in. They are I would have put them in a class, but like I said, without the skills, they're relying heavily of not getting the worst of it. So I would say they are average. They're neither good nor bad. And like I said, by the time a Sorai gets 6 skills before he becomes an absolute menace, he does have his problems. Necromantic. Now, Necromantic is one of the few teams that got a massive rework. So let's start out with the fact of several factors. One, they don't have whites. That's a big loss, because that is one of their other primary ball carriers. Now, the Ghosts, don't get me wrong, are good blitzers in their right, but the fact they can't pick up a ball means they're going to have to be in constant fights. They cannot be on their own. They cannot be left like open space. They have to continue being in a fight. They can never be on their own. The Werewolves, claw nerf, yeah, kind of hurts them, but they've got the speed, and that's what Wolves are going to be. They're going to be your main ball runners. They're going to be the ones who are going to ball run, push people off the pitch. That's what their jobs are going to be. So they have been nerfed a little bit, but they have still got a great deal of speed. Ghouls are ghouls. They'll do the business. Everyone's got regenerate. However, the loss of whites is a bit of a nasty blow. No bad one, but you're going to have to be more cautious using Necromantic from the future. Plus, they got good models. Let's be honest, they have great models. So Necromantic, I'm going to put into C, because even if you could get the werewolves quickly up, they will take time. They need a little more time than the 6 quick fire league format. But they are decent. They're not average because, like I said, the white is a big crippling blow. But the Ghost does some jobs, but you're relying on him being constantly in fights. Norse. Right. First off, they've all got block. You've got one of the best starting skills. Two, you've got average agility. So you're going to handle the ball very well. Anyone can handle it. You've got a dedicated passer. You've got your berserkers. You've got your runners. So they've got multiple options. Even the Yeti. Yes, the Yeti. Yes, again, claws has been nerfed, but they got the certain presence that could muck about with passing. But they are very fragile. They're glass cannony. And against most of these teams, they will have a good chance. But when it's dwarfs, yeah, that's a problem. So, where do the Norths fit in this, you may ask? Well, they're not. I would say they are in A rank for this league because they don't really need much skill up. They have already got one of the best skills, block, and they can mug people. Oh, and the Wolfens as well. Yes, they're a bit erratic, but if you can get them in positions, they can do devastating damage. So, yep, Norse in this format. And I know a lot of people think, wait, Norse are that high? Yes. Block is ludicrous in a quickfire league because if you have block right away, you're going to be hard to deal with. I mean, like I said, they are fragile, but at the same time, block skill means you're eliminating one dice from the equation. And plus the fact, if you're willing to get a couple of tackle pieces quickly before the end of the season, that could be a nightmare to deal with. Nagul. Right. Nurgle. Right. How can I say this about these guys? Very bad. Yes, they do have the Nurgles. You have the Beast in Nurgle. Their Discern presence will muck up any passing shenanigans. But here's the problem. They're slow. The Rotters tend to die in prodigious fashion, or get injured in prodigious fashion. You're relying on one-trick pony tactics, which is basically get the ball and run and hope to God that your liner can hold the line. So unfortunately, and also you don't have time to make this team strong. They are very weak in this format. So unfortunately, Nurgle, even the presence thing where they might not punch, you're still relying on 1 on 6 just to get it. So they are dog crap in this format. But later on they do get better, but not in this format. Like I said, this is a quick fire format. So they do struggle. Ogres. Ogres are unique and a little bit unusual to say the blinking least. Now, for starters, the Snotlings, they are weak. They will die. You know they're going to go. But there's one plus to the Snotlings. They don't value the team rating, so you're going to get inducements. Now that makes it good for them. But here's the problem. Your inducements, you're going to have to buy someone who's going to be a ball handler. He or she is going to be the one that's going to do all the ball handling, all the shenanigans, and all that. While the ogres do what they do best. Absolutely mutilate. Now, and also you can use the Snotlings as projectiles, or you can use them to hurl them down pitches to do a one-turn touchdown. So there is options. Problem is for them is the Snotlings, yet again. But they do have a punter and a thrower, so they have 2 bites of the cherry, but 2 chances to lose Snotlings. But like I said, well, Snotlings don't, contribute to team rating. And if you get like loner Snotlings from inducements, and they get D3 extra because of swarming, having the 14 man up to 14 players can be very handy if you need it, because you can get D3 and 14 is the max. So that would be interesting, and it gives you more room to play with. But in this format, I would say they are a C. They're strong as hell, but their ball handling backline is a problem. And they're going to have to be smart with their inducements. Very smart. Orcs. Oh, poor Orkies. As an Orc player myself, when I saw the rules of them, I was horrified. Animosity. Now, if you don't know how animosity works for the Orcs, it's a little different. First off, if a lineman gets it, he cannot pass the ball to a lineman, but he can give it to other people. If a big un, which is the new Black Orc essentially, now they are a little bit better. They've got more movement, but they're just essentially a Black Orc just with one better movement, and no skill. So They're pretty much like that. They're like the old Blackhawks, but one better movement and a name change. Which, to be honest, I don't really care. If a big one gets the ball, he can't pass anyone below him, which is basically you know, a lineman. He can't pass to a lineman. If a thrower gets it, he will not pass to anyone but a thrower, no, by a to a blitzer. And if the blitzer gets it, then nobody gets it until he's knocked down. And that's a problem because they're very greedy players. And the problem with that is that does hurt the Orcs quite a bit. It makes them less viable to do stuff. It means you're going to have to rely on the thrower picking up the ball and him doing all the running, while the Biggins and you know the Orc blitzers do the work. Now, don't get me wrong, they're still a good team. They are still a good team. They have options, but unfortunately, because they are very restricted on who gets the ball and who can have it or not, that could be a bit of an issue. Now, are they A rank? No. Are they S rank? Nah. They're B rank. They're average. They're good, but not bad. But they do seriously need a... Like, if they dubbed the animosity, I would have put them to A because they'd be a nightmare to deal with. But, nah. They're average, guys. Now, the Old World Alliance. Ooh. Now, this is a mixed bag team. Now, like the Chaos Renegades, you have multiple options for big guys, such as like the Ogre or the Treeman. Let's be honest, you can see the Treeman every freaking time. However, the Passer is bad. Really bad. He's worse. I mean, the freaking normal human is 10 times better. So don't expect passing much from him. You've got also the luxury of a halfling who could be used as a thrower. Like, you could throw him down the pitch for a one-turn touchdown if the need arises. And you have got your blitzers and all that, but they're like minimal positions. And speaking of that, I forgot to mention, guys, I will probably do a sevens version of this as well. So do keep that in mind in that. However, your world is a pretty mundane team. Other than the Treeman, the rest of the team doesn't really scream out, "Oh, I'm going to beat you up." As well as the dwarves as well. The dwarves are bad. They're like, I think the blockers are like, don't have block. I think I recall. I can't remember if I'm wrong, guys. Just post in the comments if I'm wrong there. But the blockers are not that good. The dwarf blockers. Slayer's good, but other than that, it's just not very good for the old world. And the old world, I'm afraid, down here, they're dog crap. They're, like I said, Treeman's brilliant. They've got a decent thrower, but you're relying heavily on the others pulling their weight. And given what we got above, that's a pretty tall order. And the Treeman as well, like, I can't value Treeman on his own to do everything on his own. He can only do so much. So, that's that. Pro Elves. Now, as many of you know, I'm not a fan of the Elves, but the Pro Elves are a little better than the High Elves. And here's why. Because they're cheaper. They're cheaper. They've got brilliant blitzers who've got block and sidestep. That is a phenomenal skill to have, and it could give them a lot of edges and a lot of ways out. So that means you have to really focus heavy on one blitzer to get him down. They've got a good passer, not wrong there, and they've also got a good good catcher who's got nerves of steel, which means he's not going to be bothered by people around him when you throw the ball. So there is some positives to the Pro Elves. Yet again, the problem with Pro Elves is they are weak armored, and like all elves, they do so. If they lose any key pieces, they will be crippled. So that is a problem. However, because they are cheaper and they've got good blitzers and good set players, they are in A rank. They're hard to deal with, and a good Pro Elf player will know how to use them and how to do the work. Skaven. Right. Oh boy. The fact that the governments can no longer pass means now you need a thrower more than ever. Or if you choose the running style, you're not going to bother getting the passer. However, the one good thing about the Skaven is you don't really care what happens to the Lion Rats because they're cheap, easy to replace, and you don't give two cock-a-hoops if you lose, you know, several members. So this is the thing about Skaven. This is where they're going to shine in this format. The Gutterrunners themselves are nightmares to pin. And if you're clever with the Gutterrunners, say that, let's say you move the Gutterrunners like, say, 5 inches forward and good cover, and even if a good coat, and if you put the other four in other places, it's like telling the opponent, right, I have 4 options to pick from. Can you stop all 4 of them? And if you can't, well, that's a bit of a problem. Also, you don't care about them, but this is where the problem lies for the Skaven. The Rat Ogres. Rat Ogres are a good piece, but here's the problem. Animal savagery. If you don't know what animal savagery is, if you fail a test, then the Rat Ogre has to punch the nearest ally. He has no option in that regard. So he has to go over there and bray someone. And that could be a major issue. So basically, you need to make sure that Rat Ogre is in constant fights. He's in constant battles. He's with someone to punch. Because if he's on his own and he has no one to punch, that might be a bit of an issue. But, like I said, you really don't care about the Lion Rats dying. Because you can just loan us for the rest of the season. As long as your Gutterrunners and your Stonewomen are fine, as well as your Passer, they're going to do the business and they're going to do a lot of work. And they're a nightmare because of their range. Are they S tier? No, but close. Because of the fact as well, like I said, the dwarfs. Because any smart dwarf player will keep 3 guys in the back row to block you off. Are they in the A tier? Abso-freaking-lutely. They're A tier grade. I mean, S tier as well. Like I said, they're so close to being S tier, but it's that animal savagery that knocks them down because it could backfire horrendously. So, A rank, guys. Sorry, Skaven fans, but it's the truth. That animal savagery knocked you back down. But if it wasn't, you would be freaking S tier without a shadow of a doubt. But it's that animal savagery could cause major problems. Snotlings. Oh boy, oh boy. Another new team on the block. Right. Let's get this out of the way with the Snotlings. Cheapest chips. You got Trolls, you got Punk Maggots. Punk Maggots, yes, they bugger off once they get sent off. They've got other means as well. But it's the inducements. They will have a crap ton of inducements to play with. And 9 out of 10, you're going to get something like Morg easy, or you're going to get, 4 or 5 good players. You'll probably get 4 or 5 good players they'll be the ball carrier, and they're just there just to make the numbers. Unfortunately, it's Snotlings. It's just Snotlings. They tend to die prodigiously. And they are hard mode. Would I put them in C? This is the thing. It's the inducements. It's how good the inducements are. And it's if there's lots of them. You get a lot of inducements. I mean, they out-induce bleed goblins. They put goblin inducements to shame. Would I put them in this? It depends on the inducements, guys. That's what's the problem with this. And in a small league, if you pick Snotlings, you're nice and you're going to run into these guys. The Dwarves, the Amazons, the Dark Elves, the Humans, the Pure Noble, Norse, Pro Elves, Skaven. These guys. You're going to outduce them, but will they be any effect is the question. And remember, it's really a hard thing to say. I'll be honest. Would I put them in C? No. They're D. Because they're relying heavy on inducements and they're relying heavy on, the inducements doing something. And if they're not doing anything, yeah, they've got a problem. Next, Undead. Undead. The mummies. Good. They're good big guys. They've got rights, which are a good ball handling option. They've got the ghouls. And they've got the skelos and the zombos. But, unfortunately, guys, the ghouls are pretty much the weak link of the team. Because the zombos and everyone else has regen, they can come back. But the ghouls don't. And if the ghouls get taken out, that's a problem. But the good thing about like the the mummies, they're very hard to shift. So the Zombos, they're very hard to shift. Or you can go all Skelly, which are cheap and get more rerolls, but you expect them to get broken through armor pretty quickly. However, in this format, yes, the ghouls could quickly get blocked and become a very menace to be dealt with, but unfortunately, you got to get them there quickly without being destroyed, and you're going to have to be very clever in using them. Are they below average? Yes, but no, because of the rights. Because the rights can become the new ball carriers and hold out and also open up plays. So I'm going to go with B. They're average. They're neither good nor bad, but they need a lot of time to be developed to go higher tier. Underworld. Right, the Underworld team. Underworld got a little bit of love as well. They can now have Snotlings who don't affect their team value, and they can have as well a Gutter Runner. Now that's important because that means now they have a dedicated Ball Runner. So that means the Gobbles and all that don't have to worry about it. And plus the fact as well, it gives the Underworld more maneuverability to play with. Also with new mutations as well as an option, so they have other options. However, Animosity / Goblin Armor and Rat Skaven Armor can be an issue. As many will know from my battles against the Underworld, they can be good, but if they don't get a good run-off pretty quickly, they're in trouble. But if the Gutter Runner gets a couple of touchdowns early and gets block and make him a blodge piece, there you go. You've got a hard piece to deal with. But it's the rest of the team that lets them down. So C, pretty much a C. They're they're a bit underwhelmed against some teams. The Vampires. Now I'm gonna make an apology to Roger, but I've always stated they were good. But after watching them in play in tabletop, I realize now how bad they really are. Animal Savagery murders them because I mean they're already a heavy induced reroll team, but with the blood drinking thing, they could still get away with like, oh, I'm not gonna roll, but I could do stuff. But Animal Savagery, where you've got to punch your ally, can be a bit of an issue. So yeah, I do apologize, Roger. I could see now what you were saying, so I do apologize. But where would they fit in this league is the question. The Vampires themselves are good. AG4, Strength 4, Hypnosis, Regeneration. They're hard to get rid of. They've got good movement. They're a good team. But sadly, the Animal Savagery and the Thralls being weak as heck, and plus that it'll take you at least a game or two just to get a good decent amount of skills. In this format, I would say they are not great. They're not dog crap, but they're in the C category. Underwhelming. Not that great. And last but not least, for this video at least, because I'm going to make them 7 videos, is the Wood Elves. Wood Elves, huh? Where do they fit in the grand scheme of things? Well, they've got great passes in their thrower. Treatment, always a plus. Catches are annoying to get a hold of, because as soon as they get blocked, they're practically pests. And the War Dancer, unfortunately, there's the problem. The War Dancer being nerfed. Can't use the War Dance pass shenanigan rules because, well, that pass is 4+. While the thrower is like 3 or 2. I think it's 2 or 3. I can't remember. Comment in the comment section if I'm wrong or not. Sorry about that. But I am going to be very, very, very brute honest with them. And also their weak armor is a big issue. You're going to lose linemen very quickly. And if you lose any of the key pieces, that team is practically done for. So you're going to have to be very, very clever and smart with them. They do have a lot of good options, but I'm afraid they're actually going to be in the middle category. With the high elves, they've got some pros, but they've got a lot of cons. And the cons is they are not very durable. And that is it, guys. That's my thoughts on the list of a quick fire league with these teams. in the Bubble 2020/Bubble 3 rule set. So what do you think, guys? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or do you believe I'm wrong? Or what do you think? Who should we wear? Give me a comment in the comment section. And I'll see you next video where I will probably do the YouTuber League variant. I'll catch you later.